your English language ability, your composition style, and your time management. These are the three keys you need to focus on, train, and study to be successful on the IELTS speaking exam. Welcome everyone, my name is David. This is IELTS with Teacher David. I'm an experienced IELTS instructor, and I'm here to share my experience and knowledge on the IELTS exam. These are my opinions and ideas, so please feel free to make use of them any way that you feel necessary to improve your score. This should not be your first step in learning IELTS, nor should it be your last, but I'm happy to help you along your journey as you study. And in this video, we're just going to be looking at the English language ability you need for the IELTS speaking test. And according to the public descriptor, there are 4 criteria they'll be looking at. It's going to be your pronunciation, your grammar accuracy, use of lexical resource, which means vocabulary, and fluency and coherency. And when I posed this question to students, I said, well, what does it mean to have good pronunciation? Sometimes they're not exactly clear what that means. And I believe that if you have a clear idea what that means, you're going to go into the test more confidently. So when I think about good pronunciation, a very simple understanding of this is, does the listener have any trouble understanding what you're saying? Is it difficult for them to grasp your meaning? We're not looking for perfection with IELTS. We're looking for the ability to communicate well. And of course, there are some language features, and we're talking about intonation and stress and having that connecting sounds. We call it elision, which is very natural in speech. I want to go to the store. I want to go to the store. Things like that. That's very natural for native speakers, and we want to see if you have some of those qualities too. Next, let's have a look at grammar accuracy. Nowhere in the public descriptor does it say advanced and academic grammar, but it does say use of a variety of complex structures. Well, what does that mean? Well, the starting point that I like to think with students is, take for example the question, what's your favorite food? Well, it seems like a very simple question. Maybe your favorite food is Italian food. But when I use the word favorite, do you see that I'm kind of implying that we're using the superlative form? So when I say, what's your favorite food? I can answer, well, I think Italian food is the best. I think pizza is the most delicious. And this question is guiding me to answer using some superlative adjectives, right? Now, I could expand upon that, but that is what the starting point I like to think about. And once we have a starting point, then we can build off those things. And we'll talk about that more later. All right, next, let's take a look at lexical resource or vocabulary. Again, nowhere in the public descriptor does it mention academic and advanced vocabulary, but instead it mentions 4 key ideas. And that is paraphrasing, which is using words like synonyms and antonyms, changing the part of speech to rephrase the sentences in a different way. Another is use of collocation. And collocation is just how words combine, like we say we make a bed, we make dinner. We wouldn't say we do dinner. But in some languages, the verb do and make are the same word. So they might get confused when using English. That's what we want to see, if you understand that in English we use different verbs that go with different nouns. Third, less common vocabulary. And I understand less common vocabulary as words that you're not going to find in a textbook. You didn't learn it in school. For example, I was talking to a student the other day who talked about she liked Italian food. And I said, well, what kind of sauce do you like with pasta? She goes, bechamel. Well, that's clearly a less common vocabulary word. You're not going to find that in a list of vocabulary words in a textbook. And that's the kind of language we like to see. Vocabulary that you were able to pull from your real life. And fourth, idiomatic expressions. Now, idiomatic expressions are not the same as idioms, though idioms are great. Things like, oh, I'm so hungry I could eat a house, or it was raining cats and dogs, or that's not my cup of tea. Those are all great idioms. But when we're talking about idiomatic expressions, we talk about maybe with my friends we hang out. You know, you're not really hanging somewhere, but that's just an expression we like to use, and it's idiomatic. And now let's think about fluency and coherence. I want to define fluency very simply as the ability to talk for a certain length of time without stopping. A lot of people feel insecure about this because it's hard to talk without stopping. But there's a difference between stopping because you're self-correcting, you're repeating yourself, or you're hesitating, versus pausing. According to the public descriptor, on IELTS 7, band score 7, it mentions that the student hesitates. And I don't think they're mentioning that as a bad thing. I think they're mentioning because when a native speaker like me is thinking and talking at the same time, I'll occasionally pause to try to collect my thoughts. And every language has these features. Think about it. What kind of filler words do you have in your language? For example, in English, words like, well, you know, like. These kind of filler words help me kind of like formulate my ideas as I'm speaking. And I'm willing to I guess, say that if you're able to do that, chances are you're thinking of your ideas in English before you speak them, rather than think of them in your native language, translate them, and then speak them. And if you're able to think in English and then speak in English, that's a sign of higher level of fluency. And along with fluency, we have coherence. And coherence, easily defined, is your ideas make sense. Using discourse markers like firstly and then lastly shows progress of time. If I use words like and, or, but, so, because is letting the listener know my reasoning. But is sharing some sort of contradiction, or is mentioning options. So using these words help build coherence. And when we talk about structure, I will show how we don't want to try to obsess about these discourse markers and try to fit them into our speech, but rather if we focus on ideas and information, the coherency will come naturally. Wow, that video was longer than I thought it was going to be, but thank you so much for making it to the end. There was a lot of information there. Quickly to review, if your pronunciation is good, it means your words are clear enough to be understood. If your grammar is good, it means that you're responding to whatever information was in the question. If your vocabulary is good, you're able to express information and ideas. If your fluency is good, you're speaking long enough. And if your coherency is good, it means your ideas make sense. It's really important for me to make this video because when we get into speaking part 1, part 2, and part 3, these ideas are going to keep coming up about vocabulary and with fluency, and especially with fluency because fluency is connected to timing. And remember, timing, your composition structure, and your English skills, these are the 3 keys that we need to focus on to be successful in the IELTS, in test-taking interviews like we're going to be seeing for the IELTS speaking. So please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.